Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, we have a really fun interview with Diona Reasonover. You can see her now on NCIS, where she plays Kasie Hines, but she's also been a writer on series such as I Love You America and I Love Dick, and an actress on everything from Future Man to Two Broke Girls. We have a fun chat about Upright Citizens Brigade, basing characters off your family, and much more. There's also a bit of discussion about cats and cat names. I hope you enjoy. Hey, thank you so much for making time today. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no worries. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Oh, good.
In going through and doing my research and everything, I get more and more excited to talk to you, both because Engine Cat is the greatest cat name that I've heard in a while. I will.
You've got a lot of energy like an engine.
I was going to ask if it was a super loud purr or what was the genesis of it, but I was also a little bit afraid because I've had one other interview where the person spoke about their cat in almost every interview that I'd read with them. Not that you did, but they had talked about Piccadilly a bunch. And so I thought, oh, cool. I'll ask about Piccadilly had passed away literally the week before our interview. And it was the opening.
Oh, no.
So I was doing the research and I was like, I'll ask about Engine Cat. And a little voice in the back of my head went, Les, don't ask about Engine Cat.
You are hilarious. No, Engine Cat's fine. She is definitely alive and well and zooming around the house right now.
That's great.
The name actually comes because she crawled into the engine of my now wife's cat, my now wife's car. And that's how we got her. We did not plan on getting a cat, but we just had this very cute little black kitten that we all of a sudden had.
Yep.
And all the shelters were full. And the only place to take her was a kill shelter, and I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah. I know a couple of people who have gotten kittens from it sleeping in the warm engine of their car, and then thankfully noticing the cat, because it can go very, very, very badly.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those things where she actually drove like very far with Warner too. Like she had gone out to go to work. And one of our neighbors had been like, hey, there was a cat under your car. I didn't see where it went. And she was like, Patricia says she looks under and then I promise I'll be done with these cat stories. She looked under the car and she didn't see anything. She looked all around the car and she kind of went to work and like went to a show and was gone for like hours and was driving back and was going 60 miles per hour when she hears like a little meow.
Oh my gosh. Like world's bravest cat. How is this not a series?
I don't know if she's brave, but she's certainly determined. I'll tell you that.
If Pixar did it, that would be the bravest cat. Yes. Yeah. I say high energy cats I find are also the like, do you want it? Do you want this cat? Just.
Do you have one yourself?
We have two torties. And so they're one is an old lady cat immediately, like was just born an old lady cat, and the other one is permanent kitten, but they are both very chatty.
Oh, that's really cute. Well, here, you'll have a third version.
So you grew up in Detroit, is that right?
Yes, grew up in Detroit, Michigan, born and raised.
Can you talk a bit about...
Right in the city.
Can you talk a bit about... Was writing and acting and performing, was all of it always bound up for you as kind of one thing when you were a kid, or did you start out writing and then someone tell you, hey, you should go out for this part? How did you kind of come to that creative space for yourself when you were a kid?
Well, my sister was a gymnast, and she's got quite a few years on me, so I was really young when I would watch her perform. And I would just always be like, oh, when is it my turn? And I have no gymnastic talent. But it got me really interested in the stage. And there's a great program in Detroit called Mosaic Youth Theater of Detroit, which at the time was like kind of world-class training for artists from Detroit for free. You got it was 9 hours of training a week. And we had really great visits from the Royal Shakespeare came and did Royal Shakespeare Company came and did a residency with us. Wow. And we'd have traveling artists come. And Rick Sperling, who founded it, really is the one I credit with being the one to inspire me to pursue acting, because I had never really thought it was possible. And then when I went to college, I studied acting, and I realized that I didn't know what job I could have other than acting. And so I went to grad school hoping I would figure out some other job, but I studied acting there too. So when I got out of grad school, I was like, I guess acting is what it's going to be. I guess I made that decision. I didn't study anything else that could pay me. So that's pretty much what happened. And the writing came actually after. I was having a hard time getting into this showcase, and they told me they would bring me in as a writer, even though I had no writing talent. And the rest is history, I guess.
And now you, I assume once you moved out to LA, you got involved with UCB.
Yeah.
And I know you still perform with them regularly. Can you talk about, was that just kind of a next step of like, well, I'm out in LA now, this is a thing I need to do to further my skill set, or was there kind of a fear of kind of putting your money where your mouth is and really going out for some of these classes?
Have you ever been to UCB? I only ask because when you go, it feels like everybody there was like in a commercial and I didn't have any money, and I really needed to, like, I was like, if I have to book a commercial, I have my rent for a few months. So I started off at Second City first, mainly because I saw that they had a scholarship, and I was doing a lot of Shakespeare, and I was tired of killing myself on stage, literally killing myself. It's very depressing. Just laying there dead for half a show. And so, yeah, I started Second City, and then afterwards I, was like, UCB is where it's at, and I've been performing there ever since. It's a really great place to be. It's a very cool community. It does feel like some of the coolest people in LA, if I'm being honest, and me.
Can you talk a bit about, improv comedy is different than just trying to write, and different than just jokes. It's kind of its own skill set. Can you talk about falling in love with that? And then you also do a longer form improv. Can you talk about the what you feel the difference is between kind of what you do with UCB and what you do with, is it Essence?
Oh, Essence, yeah. Well, I'll be honest. At UCB, this probably just isn't clear online or from interviews. At UCB, I'm not on like an improv Herald team. Mm-hmm. I was on a sketch team for a long time.
Okay.
So more like SNL, slightly less wigs. So
more prep writing?
What the wig budget is. Yeah. More already like kind of writing. More, I have this dumb idea for a bit. Can we try it?
Did you say the outrageous wig budget?
Yeah, truly. SNL their wig budget is probably most people's yearly income. It's insane. Yeah, I think it's the thing that I love about improv, and now I of course want to invite you to do some improv with me. I'm like, are you in LA?
No, I'm in Austin.
Oh, dang it. That's too bad. I always love playing with people who have never played before, because there's this, you look in someone's eyes. Have you ever looked in someone's eyes and just seen like absolute wildness? Like,
yes,
it's terror and joy. That's what it feels like. I do love playing with Essence. They're my girls, and do you watch Prodigal Son at all? I feel like I have not answered your question, but I'm still going to ask.
No.
Do you watch Prodigal Son?
That's the new one with serial killer's kid.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
With, yeah.
I'm blanking on the actor's name. That was the great Angel, but has also been a wild lawyer on. How am I blanking on his name? Michael.
Oh, Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen. Yes. No, he's wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah. He's got the weirdest Robin Williams beard, no beard thing. Like, are you an angel or a serial killer?
Doesn't he? He looks so different. It's his chin, I think. It's the way his chin sits. But the reason I bring that up is because the woman who plays the forensic scientist on Prodigal Son right now, Keiko Agena, mm-hmm. Is one of my best friends, and we were on a 3-man improv team. And now 2 out of those 3 people on the team pretend to be scientists on TV and wear lab coats.
You had you had mentioned earlier your sister, getting your sister to be a gymnast, kind of growing up, being it's my turn to perform. And I know that you also had said that you'd based your character on Clipped off of your sister, who is also a doctor now. And so the Kasie and the science, can you talk a little bit about going out for parts, and do you ever run into having to look at your family and go, no, I'm not making fun of you. I'm just pulling from knowing you.
Oh yeah. Have you ever? Yeah, it's truly. I walk into rooms now at home, and my family all falls quiet, lest they end up on screen, lest some portrayal is done.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. I've had to with my own writing explain to people of like, this is not what I really wanted to say to you. I promise.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? It is about, I think a lot of people look at what we say on TV or what we write, and they say like, oh, is this how you really feel? But it's not. It's just an exploration. And sometimes I do pull from looking at my siblings as a way of, exploring kind of what humanity looks like. It's hard to get out of your own perspective, right? Mm-hmm. And you grew up with, and these are the people you grew up with, and you have a chance to kind of say, well, what would this person do in this scenario if they were in this scenario? My sister is super helpful to me because she is kind of my science go-to. When I don't understand something in the script, I just call her because she's a doctor. As far as going out for parts, I think I spent a lot of time when I was first auditioning, I know I did, trying to be what I thought I could read from the page. Like I was like, oh, they want someone like this. This says they want a Lena Dunham type. I suppose I should watch 10 hours of Lena Dunham and then try to be like Lena Dunham.
Oh my God, what might that mean?
And God, it means really wanting to tear my hair out. Yeah, I can't be anyone else. I have found that I can't be anyone else other than who I am. So now when I go out for auditions, I have a little flavor of like, what would this person do in the scenario? But I'm really also just trying to show the casting directors and the producers, like, this is me, this is who I am, because this is who you're going to potentially be working with for 12 hours a day.
I could see we're trying to guess at what they're wanting would be just maddeningly bad first date idea, and also could just end up with you wildly off. Whereas if you just show them yourself, I don't know. It seems like the best base point you could start from.
So one of my favorite stories about this, and I have, I'm sure, I don't know if everybody shares their stories of failings, but I sort of love to share them because I think
I have a whole podcast about it. I seriously do.
You do?
It's called the Unstuck Creative. I have a whole separate podcast that's just about creative professionals talking about being scared despite success.
I've heard that podcast, actually.
Yay.
That's incredible. I didn't know it was you. No one ever gives me. That's so funny. A lot of times when I hear about interviews, I'll hear like, oh, it's Les from, but I won't hear a last name, mm-hmm. So I don't necessarily put two and two together. But hey, you have a great podcast.
Thank you.
Have me on.
Yes, let's do that.
Wow, that's so wild. Wait, what was I going to say?
So, you had a great story about
one of my favorites.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've never seen Star Wars. It's just not a thing that was ever in my lexicon. I just haven't seen it. I missed out on it. Then I felt like it was too late. And I have had dinner with Harrison Ford. Very nice man. Still never seen Star Wars. I had an audition for Star Wars, and it came up so quickly. There was really no time to watch it. Mm-hmm. Like I still had work the day before, so I couldn't just sit down and watch, 12 hours worth of movies.
Yeah.
And when you audition for Star Wars, they don't give you the sides. You can't prepare beforehand. So you're really taking a guess at it when you get there, which makes sense because they want to keep things secret. And it's very proprietary. But when I read the sides, the first thing I thought is, I was like, okay, I'm reading this and the character I'm getting, because there's not a lot of description, is Michonne from Walking Dead. Okay, great. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to try to be that, like, kind of like, tough, but, you can see she's got like a tender inside, and that's not what they wanted at all. And, Ryan Johnson, luckily they brought me in for a callback, and Ryan was like, okay, I think less that and more. She's like just, and he starts describing this character that I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. That's me.
That could have just been me.
I thought he wanted like this, tough kind of warrior, can kick your ass kind of woman. And that's not who he wanted. He wanted someone who was like a little bit nervous and not really at all prepared for this. And that's literally what I was. I was like, And so, you know, obviously I didn't get the part. The role went to Kelly Marie Tran, who I admire so much. And no, she was on an improv team that we used to play with all the time. She's wonderful. She's so talented. She absolutely deserves it. But this, for me, is an example of why it's so important to go in as yourself, because I was trying to be what I thought they wanted. They wanted me. That's why they invited me. If they wanted that, if they wanted that, I'm sure they would have invited that actress. Diona Reasonover, whose name I'm probably butchering. Please don't put that I butchered her name in your article.
So I guess we've probably got time for one last question. I wanted to ask about getting to come on board, not just a successful TV show, but coming on board an exceptionally long-running TV show. I have a certain. I run a lot of podcasts. I run another podcast that's just about one season canceled shows, but I also have a love for. There's something special that happens in the writing of something that goes past 10 seasons. I feel like where it almost to me seems like this writer's game of like do something new with this play set, go. In terms of paring down from the core characters and whatnot, you coming on board NCIS as Kasie kind of replaced one of the core four, I think, fan favorites. And I know you'd said in an interview that you got some advice from Paulette, the previous actress, or Abby rather, who played Abby, about just exactly like we were just talking about, just being you and doing you and not sweating trying to be Abby or replace Abby or whatever. Can you talk a little bit about that, coming on board a set that's got to be tight-knit, long-running, I was worried when I first got the job. I went into the audition assuming they were going to cast anybody but me. And so I was very nervous when I first got onto set, but I also was like, I mean, they picked me. I went in and I was me. So if they want me, they want me. And if they don't, hey, I had a great time and I got some free food for 3 days. And Mark was one of the kindest, most welcoming people. And one of the things that he told me was, he was like, I watched your stuff and I liked you. I thought you were so funny. And then started pointing out things that he had watched that I was like, oh, wow, this dude really did actually that's great.
like watch my auditions. That's incredible. That's not something that normally happens. And I think they made it everyone on set made it very clear to me that they were happy as long as I was happy. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it worked, I think we were all going into this with a, like, we want this to work out kind of mentality, not we want you to fill in this particular type of character gap that we have, because the show had very obviously proved that it could run without me, as it had for 15 years. So there wasn't like a lot of pressure from the TV show. And I don't know, everyone there is so nice. It's a very well-oiled machine. Everyone's kind of the best at their job, at the top of their game. It's kind of insane.
I would think it would
Can
be.
you hear my cat running around? She is really taking off right now.
I'm hoping that nobody can hear my dog breathing behind me. So, I have an Australian Shepherd that's, back here.
Does he just want to get, does she just want to get out and just run all over the place? Is that what's happening?
Well, all of the outside deserves to be told, and if not there, then directly under my legs while I'm doing whatever. So I've had a lot of stuff unplugged on accident by a dog. The joys of working from home.
Oh my gosh, that's really perfect. That's really cool.
It's the best. It's really I feel like it's what little kid me was working towards the whole time. So I don't have a commute, but I do have a dog. So
I don't have a commute, but I do have a dog. So you do have a commute, because you got to take that dog all around the neighborhood.
There's a couple hours a day, that he's got to be taken outside or just petted,
This was a really fun interview, Les. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate you making time. Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.